Guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to the Cobblemon World Cup. We're here for the beginning, the first day of the Cobblemon Quarterfinals, the top 8. We will see a face-off today in this first match against Jornadas Cobblemon and SquirtleSquadMC. I'm joined today, as always, with my side host, Novoro. Welcome, Novoro. Want to paint a picture for these people? Share your excitement with what we got going on today.
Hello, everybody. Today we will be getting to see SquirtleSquadMC face off against Jornadas Cobblemon, two of the top-ranked teams in this Cobblemon World Cup. Definitely a matchup that I'm very excited to see. I feel like these teams are pretty equal in strength, so it should be a lot of back and forth going on in this match. Just to, let everybody know, Jornadas is the 4th ranked seed, and they are going to be facing off against the 12th place seed, SquirtleSquadMC. Both kind of a little bit deviated away from the middle, but overall, should still be a very entertaining match.
Oh, heck yeah. Now, if you've been sticking with this tournament at all, then you know that this is doubles and singles format. Today, do you expect any advantage for these teams based on singles or doubles? As Goldango, our referee Goldango, of course, does play a part in helping to select what the format will be.
Of course. I think when it comes to singles, I have seen Jornadas perform very well. Their battlers there look really strong. When it comes to doubles, that's where I do think SquirtleSquadMC does have an edge, They are a team that always puts up a fight when it comes to our doubles matchups. I think they've only lost one in the entirety of the World Cup. And so I'm very excited to see, this first coin flip is going to be a big decider in, which team is going to be able to start off on their stronger foot.
Very exciting.
But
and I see it as time, right? Yes, all right.
Yep.
Well, we will get a proper coin flip now from the referee Novoro. Goldango has thrown the coin in the air. He's examining which side is facing up, and he is choosing heads.
Singles!
And it looks like SquirtleSquadMC all racing back to their bench over here. And I only see... Oh, we just see another tournament member from Jornadas Cobblemon showing up, Murlex. And we were worried. We did not see any of them logged in before the start of this stream. But now I'm seeing at least 2 battlers here. I don't know who just joined the Discord, but make sure you're all set. Oh, it's Slippy, but he's muted. Okay. All right. Well, we will be seeing a singles match to begin this top 8 battle between these two, the 4th place seed and the 12th place seed, with SquirtleSquadMC and Jornadas Cobblemon. We will get underway in about 3 minutes as these teams will pick their battlers and they will prepare. Now, in singles formats during this tournament, the battlers have access to a team preview, a full team preview. They will know what Pokemon they are facing off against. No items, no abilities or EVs or anything like that. But they will see the Pokemon they're facing off against, and we won't. So we will try to keep you abreast with all of the changes and momentum.
I will actually interject. We have requested that every battler sends their singles team to us now, so that way we can share it with the stream. It's only a Pokepaste of the Pokemon that each member is bringing to their battle. So we're only going to see the Pokemon, which is the exact same information that they would have in their own team preview screen. So I will be getting those all set up. Let me just quickly...
Phenomenal. Well, I will relay any teams that we see. For VGC, of course, we see a more full team preview sheet that we will share a Pokepaste with the chat, and you will see these singles sheets if we get those, which I assume we will, since it has been commanded by the referee.
Now let me just make sure everything right now is in a good spot. The teams look good.
And if you're just tuning in and you haven't seen these arenas yet, we are battling in the Fire Arena today. SquirtleSquadMC may not love the sunny, lava-y vibes going on today that the Cobblemon build team has put together for this tournament, but I think we can all enjoy it. And of course, we have these excellent white rays coming through. This is my favorite arena.
Oh, by far my favorite as well.
It's just so epic.
All right, so I have sent you the Pokepaste of the singles battlers. Now I'm just going to quickly make sure that everybody's ready.
All right, the Jornadas Pokepaste is in chat, and I will get you the Squirtle Squad one as well in a moment. Getting some good luck to both teams from chat. But I see a lot of Spanish or Portuguese in chat, and it's going to get crazy. The Jornadas team is here in force in chat, I think.
Beautiful. That's what we love to see.
Indeed. Mess with the music slightly.
All right, so the battlers have been chosen. Representing SquirtleSquadMC is Mega Man X08, and representing Jornadas Cobblemon is Muralex34. Muralex has shown up in every single match, if I'm not mistaken, for Jornadas.
All right, well, we see Muralex on the right currently. We'll have to see what order they are in the battle once that battle begins, and I will swap around the icons if we have a switch to make.
Yeah. It looks like this is actually going to be Mega Man X08's tournament debut.
Whoa.
So that's very exciting.
In the playoffs, that can be a lot of pressure. And, you know, pressure, people talk about, we've talked about strategy here, we've talked about plenty of other things, and camaraderie even, and sportsmanship, but pressure in playoff situations, in elimination situations, especially a fast singles game where in VGC with the best of 3 format, you do have an opportunity at least to lose a game to maybe make a big misplay and sort of recover that way. But in a singles match, sometimes if you lose your best piece or one of your pieces, it can be an incredible task to overcome. So hopefully Mega Man X08 is feeling confident. We wish them the best of luck. They're representing SquirtleSquadMC as Muralex represents Jornadas, and we will be getting this match underway very shortly.
Since we have access to the pace, we can probably look into maybe predicting what each player is going to lead off with. Both teams rock a Meowscarada, which tends to be a lead that a lot of battlers like to choose, especially if they're Choice Scarf Meowscarada, because it just allows you to kind of adjust to whatever's in front of you, and also has, you know, I believe the fastest U-turn in base Cobblemon, just to, you know, pivot around whatever lead your opponent might select. We could also maybe see something like a Garganaku lead on Mega Man's side, on Mega Man's side. You know, maybe wanted to get to Stealth Rock up as soon as possible. Now I noticed a Surfetch D. I want to quickly check the moveset because if that has first impression, it might be the best, one of the best leads to face off against opposing Meowscarada. It does get first impression, which is very cool to see. I think that might be the first time that we're seeing Surfetched be brought to the playoffs of this tournament.
Now, can you walk the people and myself through that move? Oh,
So
we
first
are underway,
impression,
and it is exactly as you said. So I think this information will be very relevant.
So first impression, if you're predicting a Meowscarada lead, is essentially, I believe, a +3 priority move that hits really hard physically. 4 times super effective against Meowscarada, so any sort of first impression that will go into it will almost certainly kill it. But you know, it looks like he saw the Surfetch, didn't want, or it looks like Moody saw the Surfetch and knew that Meowscarada lead would be a bad choice, so he had Kilowattrel instead. Very, very interesting lead. You normally would never see this sort of lead unless you are trying to counter against what your opponent is likely to bring. You know, right now Murray is able to threaten big hurricanes off into the Surfetched, and Surfetched doesn't really have the bulk. It's not going to want to take a hurricane. It'd probably go down in just a single hit if it does go for it. Which also leaves Murray free to, you know, go for maybe something like a Volt Switch, knowing that the Surfetched doesn't want to stay in.
The only other notable thing I wanted to mention about the team sheets is just the court change Cinderace likely in this position here, and you can see it looks like there are very few sort of hazards coming out of the Jornadas side of the field, or I apologize, the Jornadas side of the field, whereas Squirtle Squad is rocking more with the Garganackle and the Donphan.
We did Donphan. Ooh, predicted the Volt Switch and was able to get away with it. Very nicely pivoted by Mega Man X.
A great start here with a strong, obviously a very strong Pokemon in Surfetched, but not something you see very often. And he does swap out, well, protecting that Pokemon potentially for Meowscarada later.
Now, Donphan itself, it can threaten some big damage on Kilowattrel. We've seen them run Double Edge to, you know, hit a lot of different things neutrally. Could go for something like a knockoff to hit the Kilowattrel. A very common item for Donphan to be running in this format is the Assault Vest. And so even if, you know, you kind of want to see if you can muscle your way through with Kilowattrel Hurricanes, if you're facing off against AV Donphan, you're not really going to be doing more damage to it than it would do to you. But you know, we just got to see how important this Kilowattrel is to Mirrorlex, because you know, I wouldn't say it'd be a bad play to just try to force yourself through with Hurricanes, or at least it's just to get chipped down on Donphan, because we've seen in this format Donphan is a very prevalent Pokemon, always bringing tons of utility to every single match, whether it be by rapid spinning, knocking off Goldangos, or you know, just dishing out big earthquakes that not a lot of Pokemon in the tier are really able to take.
This
I'd be interested to see.
Oh, go on.
Oh no, I was done with that.
The Kilowattrel is interesting to me. I'm looking at the other team here, and really it just seems to be here as a potential face-off against Meowscarada and Surfetched. So it does make sense to me to preserve it here potentially, as this isn't exactly a very strong matchup, as you mentioned. And as a reminder, you're welcome to share and cheer for your team in your native language, but as I cannot moderate anything in another language, I will be looking to others and hoping that you guys can speak in our English language, as that is what we are able to use here. That is typically the rule on this channel. And you do see a knockoff come out as Galarian Slowking comes onto the field, and it loses its boots, which if we do see a court change or if we see some hazards come out, this could be impactful. The Earthquake comes out, and it is well predicted. Donphan's Earthquake goes into the Kilowattrel, doing nothing to this flying type.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe this Kilowattrel is running something like a choice item, maybe something like Choice Specs, and that's why Murray decided just not to go for something like the Hurricane. Because going back into your Kilowattrel, the only thing that ended up happening that turn was you lost your Slow King's heavy duty boots for the remainder of the match, and you also had it chipped a pretty significant amount. That could play a big difference later on if it's not able to regenerate a lot of that damage off later down the line. So,
No, that's a
if
very astute
Mirrorlex was
observation.
maybe.
The obvious, as you say, the Volt Switch would not have worked if it was choice locked, and so swapping out there to be able to even use a Hurricane makes very good sense here, and is the only thing potentially that gives us some context. Oh, a massive!
Oh my god!
Massive Hurricane, but a massive live as well for Donphan at
And
1%. And we do see a knockoff
man.
through the confusion. Choice specs are removed from the Kilowattrel. Of course, this Kilowattrel will have speed on this next turn.
Yeah, and no longer choice locked as well. Even then, I'm not sure if besides Hurricane, Kilowattrel does run any other sort of non-electric move. So it might still have to gamble with landing a Hurricane.
Indeed.
Which does still, leave this to be pretty risky.
Is there any case where this Kilowattrel doesn't want to take that chance because potentially it's here to help deal with the grass and bug or fighting types later on?
Yeah, I mean, it goes for the Roost.
Confusion, praying for a confusion knockout, perhaps. The Roost helping to keep it healthy, but not ahead of this knockoff. Now we'll see whether or not this Donphan can withstand another confusion turn. It does not, as Hurricane comes out from Kilowattrel. It decides to gamble on it. And Jornadas takes first blood.
Yeah, that Roost was really good because something that was looking scary was, even though Kilowattrel originally did look pretty good against the Surf Edge D, just by just by going all the way down to, I think it was around 20-something% health, a first impression from the Surf Edge would have knocked it out. So I wonder if, being able to recover that little bit of HP is the difference in making sure it doesn't go down to something like a first impression later down the line.
Well played so far. Well played. And to the strength of SquirtleSquadMC, they have gotten 2 knockoffs already, and they have removed the utility, or part of the utility and safety of the Galarian Slowking, which, as we've seen plenty in this tournament, can serve as an incredible wall.
This is an interesting play to make because naturally Kilowattrel does outspeed Meowscarada. I believe Kilowattrel hits like 383 while Meowscarada caps out at 379 speed. So if we see the Kilowattrel stay in, if Meowscarada goes first, it confirms that it's running a Choice Scarf. If not, it's really heavily threatened by a Hurricane. I wonder if you kind of just let your Kilowattrel go down this turn just to, confirm the item on the Meowscarada. Because I don't see it really doing too much else against, a team of Goldango, Dragonite, Garganacl.
Yeah.
In the back.
Agreed. There is not too much value to this. I think the Kilowattrel has already performed fairly well.
Yeah. Then, on the other hand, I'm also taking a good look at Mega Man's team, and it does look very slow. So it is that just by judging the teammates that the Meowscarada has with it, I am inclined to believe that it definitely has to be running some sort, or that it is running Scarf. Yeah, it does move first, so it knocks out the Kilowattrel.
We see a Dark type Meowscarada getting that big knockoff. Well, of course, that Pokemon had already been knocked off, so it wasn't as big as it could have been, but it does remove Kilowattrel, and now we are even, 1 Pokemon down for each side. And
yeah, we know that the Meowscarada is choice locked right now. So right now Murray's Meowscarada is extremely free to just go for a big U-turn. If you're Mega Man, I doubt you're gonna want to knock off here because knockoff into Murray's team, your Choice Scarf Meowscarada in general into Murray's team is very strong, so you don't want to risk taking any damage on it. But this does have Murray in a good position where it's very, very free to click U-turn. There is basically no downside to it this turn. If we see a speed tie where Murray Lex ends up winning it, it also would confirm that his Meowscarada is running Choice Scarf.
Very true. I will say I appreciate a good nicknamed Pokemon. And we do see Birdman here for Mega Man X. And Simply Meowscarada over there on the far side of the field.
Two brothers staring each other down.
We get a swap into Sir Farquaad the Sirfetch'd. And Meowscarada does go for the U-turn, transforming to Bug-type. And will be leaving the field in favor of someone else to face off against this Sirfetch'd.
I imagine it's maybe something like Cinderace. I don't think that... let me see. Yeah, you don't want to bring in Slowking because you will be taking a big knockoff if that's the case. I don't think Dragapult would also be able to pick up a KO from this range. This Sirfetch'd actually looks very dangerous right now. You know, it might not be able to kill something like the Cinderace that he has in the back with any of its current moves, but it's going to threaten some big damage if it's able to get a hit off in this game.
You know,
there isn't really anything on... Oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, it's just that we've mentioned in the past how these singles games, they have very different tempos at times, and this is one where you can see every single move is being examined as closely as possible in this opener match for these two teams. I don't think we've had a single turn that's been less than 30 seconds. We do see the Cinderace you predicted come onto the field and face down this Sirfetch'd. And for those asking in chat, yes, each team battler knows or is aware of the Pokemon that the other battler has. But that is as far as their knowledge goes at the start of the battle, and everything else they will have to learn within the battle. I mentioned the other day as well that the Gallade battle quirk is part of something that was requested for the 1.4 trailer. This battle quirk is another one of them.
Oh, the Sirfetch'd?
Yep. Yes, we had a few animations made specifically just for some battle positioning shots in the trailer for 1.4, and those are the two main ones.
And I love that we get to see it here. For Sirfetch'd is one of those Pokemon that, you know, you don't really see brought too often because, you know, it's because of how slow it is and how its move pool is missing a really strong, reliable fighting stab. It's not a popular option for a lot of teams to bring. If it did have access to something like close combat, you know, maybe it could be something that is considered a lot more just because it would face off nicely against Goldango with its scrappy ability. It does have Meteor Assault, but Meteor Assault is very similar to Hyper Beam, where if you hit, you have to recharge your next turn, so it makes it very, very risky to bring to a tournament match where, you know, you might want to avoid losing your Sirfetch'd if you're keeping it specifically for first impression pressure or for knockoffs into or for knockoff utility down the line.
Gotcha.
It could very well still be running something like Meteor Assault, though. I don't want to completely scratch that possibility off.
But we see it leave the field as a Pyro Ball hits into this Garganical, taking it to about 84%, about 16% damage before Leftovers brings it back to 90%. And Cinderace immediately leaves the field. This is the first quick turn we've seen as Salt Cure goes into Slowking. This Slowking has already been knocked off, but with its Regenerator healing, it is staying a little bit healthy at the moment. It's dropping down, and if it does not find safety soon, it may be in danger. We haven't seen Slowking go down too simply in this tournament, in my experience, but we do see it here as Earthquake comes out, and Slowking goes down.
Huge Earthquake.
That is a 2-1 advantage right now for Mega Man of SquirtleSquadMC with 2 KOs. Facing down now as Mamoswine comes onto the field against this Garganical, who is now back at full health.
Yeah, now while the Slow King going down does seem like, something you really wouldn't want to have happen, if you just look over at Mega Man's team, there really isn't anything that the Slow King is going to be doing well against. It's known for its special bulk, but the only special attacker on that side is Goldango, who will always muscle through a Slow King Galar. Even sets up in front of it, so in the grand scheme of this battle, that Slow King's only purpose really feels like it was just to die.
Fair.
It doesn't look like it would have been able to do much in terms of damage. We see an Earthquake come out, huge Earthquake to pick up a KO on the Surfetch. First impression pressure is no longer going to be active.
And it is now 2-2.
Ooh, and the Mamoswine is revealed to be holding a Life Orb. Now he brought in a Goldango super super confidently, which leads me to believe that this could be something like a Choice Scarf Goldango. Simply because I guess it could either be Choice Scarf, because we didn't see it wearing a balloon, which is another common item on Goldango. It could also be running Max Speed Timid. We see the Cinderace come in, make it rain.
A critical hit.
Oh,
massive
dang,
critical
that's
hit here.
Yeah, that is a hefty crit to take.
Now, in this instance, do we expect Cinderace to have a chance to outspeed? I'm not familiar with Cinderace's speed tier here. I know Goldango, I believe, is base 84, but I'm not certain who
Cinderace has
here.
Cinderace has a really good speed tier. Naturally, Cinderace, I believe, hits around 370, something like that in terms of max speed. So it comfortably outspeeds Goldango. The only thing that we're not sure about yet is if the Goldango is wearing a Choice Scarf. But even then, you don't want it to have your Goldango facing off against a Cinderace. Honestly, I would predict Mega Man to go right out into Garganacl, and if I'm Murray, I'd switch right back to Mamoswine right here.
A quick double swap, potentially predicting each other. The thing about Goldango is if you are ever going to take a defensive stance, it does have the ability to set up in a very impactful way, and so that those predictions can be devastating if wrong. Especially if this was Choice Scarf.
You know what? I'm quickly looking at the calcs right now, and I think that this Goldango, another possibility is that it is running the Choice Specs item, just because of how much damage that did even with the crit. That is a very real possibility here as well. Just running it here on the back side of things.
Well, we see a swap from the far side of the field. The Make It Rain comes out and removes Mamoswine. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
God.
If you predict Goldango to leave and Goldango doesn't go anywhere, you are in trouble sometimes. And that was exactly what happened there.
Really, really nicely done by Mega Man. My goodness.
I would say that's a massive turn of events as well, because Mamoswine's Ice Shard can be extremely impactful against some of these dragon types. Now, of course, this team that he's facing doesn't have, say, a Dragapult, but does have a Dragonite, and we see the Garganacl come back onto the field as Cinderace comes onto the field, as Goldango does leave, getting rid of its -2 special attack drop.
Man, that honestly could be I think that might just have been the most it's too early to call things, but that I feel is the most pivotal moment that could have probably happened in the battle. Mamoswine was such a huge threat to Mega Man's team, threatening his Dragonite, threatening his Goldango, threatening his Garganacl, and having it go down really, eases up a lot of the pressure that he's going to be feeling throughout this match. Murrelix losing a crucial offensive Pokemon for his team. Oh, man.
And now we see him bring in Meowscarada to replace the Cinderace facing down this Garganacl, and this Meowscarada will be taking a Salt Cure on entry. And now we are into, as tools start to dwindle, we do start to see some head games here. There is a choice between Flower Trick and Knockoff if you're predicting specific switches here. There's, of course, U-turn as well. And we do see the Garganackle leave the field as Goldango comes onto the field. Do we get a U-turn or a knockoff? We get a U-turn. And this Meowscarada will be leaving.
Yeah, the only thing that really threatens the Garganackle on Mega Man's side anymore is the Meowscarada. That Garganackle is looking like, you know, if that Meowscarada goes down without taking down the Garg with it, the Garganackle could definitely just run away with the game. Mega Man in a really, really incredible position right now. We see Dragapult come out.
Now, even a Choice Scarf Goldango likely is not going to be outspeeding any Dragapult. So, in this situation, I don't see... although we could see a substitute Phantom Force, of course.
I feel like in this position, the Goldango is probably pretty safe to just stay in and attack. The only move that would really threaten it with any major damage is Phantom Force. And of course, if Phantom Force comes out, you know, he has another turn where he can just pivot into Garganackle. Already very physically defensive, as well as having Purifying Salt to reduce ghost damage even further. I think right now, a Mega Man is very free to just go for a Shadow Ball.
As you say,
Does
and
go.
it comes out.
Choice Scarf. Oh my goodness, this
Scarf.
Goldango.
This is a maximally speedy Goldango, and it now took out a Dragapult, who must have been built very differently. Meowscarada comes onto the field. There's only 2 Pokemon left on Jornada's side of the field now, as SquirtleSquadMC is looking very, very potent in this opener singles match.
Oh my goodness.
We see a
That
massive
Goldango
knockoff go in and remove the Goldango.
That is incredible to see a Goldango put in that much work. That's why it's one of the best Pokemon in the tier.
Indeed. That was incredible. I would not expect... That must have been a very... there must have been very little speed investment into that Dragapult in order for the Goldango to outspeed, I believe.
Yeah, I'm shocked by how much that first critical hit did, knowing it wasn't even specs. Like, that was a Choice Scarf Goldango doing all that damage to Cinderace. Insanity, man.
Big knockoff, knocks off weakness policy for the Dragonite, but it is going for Dragon Dance. Now, this Choice Scarf Meowscarada?
Yeah, I think Mega Man just won right here. I don't think that there's anything that Muralex is going to have to be able to just stop an Outrage right now. I think Outrage cleans up the game from here on out.
Oh, wow.
Mega Man in an extremely comfortable position.
We see a swap. Extreme Speed comes out and takes down Cinderace with another critical hit. I'm not sure if that mattered.
Oh, definitely didn't matter.
And Meowscarada comes back onto the field. And I believe this is the last Pokemon for Jornadas Cobblemon in this match. Extreme Speed hits hard into Meowscarada, removing it. And Mega Man takes the victory on this first game. Their first of the entire tournament. SquirtleSquadMC has a 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 match.
Wow, insanity. Really, really well done for Mega Man on his debut in the tournament to be able to secure that first win.
Incredibly done. That was a very solid performance. Oh, and as you were about to say, I believe, they have selected doubles as the follow-up match. Jornadas will be going into doubles. We will be getting team sheets shortly to you all. Oh, and we do have my Slippy here joining us as well.
Oh man, this is good. You know, so I do want to quickly bring up one change that has been introduced into the tournament is that for the semifinals and forward, we are going to be doing best of 5 rather than best of 3. However, teams were given the choice to, if they wanted to do best of 5 for the quarterfinals, if both teams agreed, they could go ahead and do it. Jornadas and SquirtleSquad ultimately ended up agreeing on a best of 3 still, but you know, right now, when you're down a whole game, knowing that the very next one could end up being your last, I'm sure right now is leaving Jornadas in a really, really uncomfortable, you know, very anxious position, you know, where this double set is do or die for them. They cannot afford to lose here.
Indeed. Now, is there a battle you expect to see come out of either side? I know you mentioned in the intro that SquirtleSquad looked like a doubles team. Is there somebody you expect to see here?
Well, I've actually already received the team sheet, so I do know ahead of time.
Well then, reveal
So
to
let me
us
just,
as
yes,
you are
let me
ready.
just, yep, I'm currently exchanging the team sheets, and I am going to send them your way, Bert, as well.
And I will share them with the team, with the chat. Is Yuriquar from Jornadas?
Yes, Yuri is from Jornadas, and Orc Boo's backer is representing Squirtle Squad MC.
Oh, I
Orc Boo's,
remember
I
that
believe, is
name.
currently, I believe Orc Boo's is actually currently undefeated in the tournament when it comes to double matches. I'm going to quickly review the old scores just to confirm that. Yeah, Orc Boo's won his set against Poke Clash. Also won his set against Cobblemon Rivals.
I'm going to post these and then I'm going to baton pass to you for about a minute.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Be
I'm
back
setting
shortly.
up the battle right now.
Beautiful. Be right back with you folks.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, Yuriquaz on the other side of the field has also made many appearances in this tournament. Let's see. He has been mostly a doubles battler. He ended up winning in his set against the Poke Realm MC. Or just the Poker Realm. He also ended up battling in the he actually was in the opener match for this Cobblemon World Cup. He did lose his double set then, so he currently has a 1-1 record when it comes to battling in this Cobblemon World Cup tournament. And hope if he wants to have another chance at making an impact later down the line of this tournament, he has to win right here. He has to bring his record up to screen. And as soon as the battlers get selected, which they have been, they are now both in a team preview.
And I am back. Let's while they're in team preview, these tend to go a little bit longer sometimes in doubles. We do see on the Squirtle Squad side of the field a Hitmontop with eject button, a Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, a Choice Banded Dragonite, rocking some great coverage moves in Thunder Punch and Fire Punch, an Expert Belt Meowscarada, Covert Cloak Talonflame, and an Assault Vest Primarina. This is a very classic team. I love this team. I'm a big fan out of Orc Boo's on the Squirtle Squad side of the field. And on the other side, we are seeing a big Rain Core and an Annihilate Mousehold duo paired up with a Choice Scarf Flygon, which is also rocking some really good coverage moves. A very interesting team on both sides of the field.
Yeah, I will say on paper, Orc Boost definitely looks like he has a stronger team. These six, we see brought to matches so frequently. On paper, an extremely powerful team.
Mm-hmm. The thing,
but Yuriquar is bringing in a very interesting rain team. Sometimes, when a meta develops, you're able to come up with more strategies that kind of go against it. I see a lot of anti-meta picks here. He brought two ghost types in order to make sure that he's not getting faked out into crucial Pokemon.
mm-hmm.
He has the Pelipper to set up rain. Talonflame, one of those Pokemon that's pretty much seen everywhere. It's nice to know that its fire type hits are gonna pretty much be nullified here.
I think this is actually a really it's an interesting and good matchup, I would say, where we will see some very strong actually, we need to look at something else. I want to point out that this Annihilate Mousehold is different from every Annihilate Mousehold we've seen so far, at least that I've seen in this tournament. This is a very offensive Mousehold, which can catch people by surprise. That is a wide lens rocking technician Mousehold who will be able to do insane damage with Population Bomb, while also serving as a follow me user whenever needed. Now, but what I wanted to point out is that there is no weather control out of Orc Boo's side of the field, and so getting that rain up and then just being able to sit in it, it looks like that'll be almost unpunished, except for with Primarina. And so it really comes down to how well, to me, Jornadas Cobblemon can handle Primarina in a lot of these situations. There's no wide guard on their side of the field, and if they can handle the Primarina, then fantastic, and if they can't, they will struggle.
Primarina for Orc Boost looks like almost an unnegotiable pick that you bring, and I'm guessing that that's why we see Pokemon like Ludicolo on the opposite side of the field. Just so you know, have a good matchup against opposing water types such as Gastrodon and Primarina, which Primarina's, I believe, top 5 usage in the entirety of the tournament. Uh, I initially I always thought Amoonguss was the king of the VGC tier, but as I've seen more of these battles take place, I feel like Primarina has been skyrocketing in terms of usage and as well as just overall tournament success.
We are actually underway in this first round of the best of 3 set already here with Dragonite Amoonguss out of SquirtleSquadMC and Pelipper Basculegion, the swift swimming Basculegion already on the field, choice banded by the way, facing down this opposing squad. That Amoonguss, of course, being another part of that very anti-rain core that Orc-Booz is going to need to use very expertly in order to take down this rain team.
Yeah, Thunder Punch looks extremely free here right now from the Dragonite.
Very true.
Guaranteed to pick up a KO on any of the opposing Pokemon if they stay on the field. It's an interesting position because, you know, I feel like Pelipper, something it probably wants to do is throw off a nice Hurricane into the Amoonguss to try to, you know, take it off the field as soon as possible. But, you know, if you stay in, you of course risk getting Thunder Punched. Maybe, you know, though, all the Pelipper needs to do is set up Rain and get off a big Hurricane. But, you know, you don't want to be slower than the Dragonite going down before even dishing out any damage.
Very true. Now, oh, go on.
Just in lead alone, I would say that Orc-Booz is in a more comfortable position because there's less prediction that he would have to make in terms of, you know, being able to massively chip the opponent's side of the field. Yuriquaz, I would be uncomfortable if I was in his shoes right now.
Indeed, yeah. This Dragonite, I think you make an excellent point. Of course, Pelipper it is one of the Pokemon that does get Protect by Learn Set, which is extremely impactful in a lot of cases. But with the double weak to Thunder Punch team here, this is a rough situation, and it depends on what they have in the back. Of course, maybe an Annihilate with an Assault Vest is something that you want to bring in and take a hit, but if you don't get Tailwind up, you still have to take that risk. So we may see like a Thunder Punch into Pelipper with a Spore going into the other slot, something like that. We see Ludicolo come onto the field, who, by the way, rocks the safety from Spore. We see Rage Powder come out, hoping to maybe stave off any big attacks from the that Thunder Punch.
Well done by Orc-Booz.
Massive damage. Of course, the Protect from Pelipper seems like a solid idea here, but now you've lost a lot of momentum. The only advantage, I suppose, is Ludicolo is also swift swimming.
Yeah, it also is able to, you know, threaten the fake out right now. It should be able to go for a pretty free fake out into Dragonite. This Dragonite is running multi-skill instead of inner focus. So it will be flinched if it stays in this turn. I think that right now, a really safe play for Yuri is to just fake out the Dragonite and Hurricane into the Amoonguss slot.
Agreed.
But Orc-Booz probably also recognizes this as well and is likely going to pivot here. I imagine that you switch out your Dragonite knowing it's... Oh, no.
But
we do see the fake out. And we do see the Hurricane taking the Amoonguss down to below 30%. It gets confused. Does it hit itself? It hits itself!
Almost definitely preventing a Spore
God.
or a Giga Drain, but most likely a Spore. This is a big turn of events here because now the speed stays in this same tier. Of course, Dragonite is now free to go again, but we should see I actually don't know if Swift Swim Ludicolo does outspeed Dragonite. I don't know enough about Ludicolo's base stats. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it should very comfortably. But it's not really threatening any big damage on the Dragonite. The most it could really go for is something like the Hydro Pump into Dragonite just to chip it down.
Very true.
But, you know, this Pelipper, I feel like it most likely would be going down this turn. Maybe you go for a Protect again, hoping that your Ludicolo gets taken out so that you can reposition. The Amoonguss being that low on health is, you know, what you really wanted to see either way.
Yeah.
If
I'm Orc-Booz, I'm probably swapping Amoonguss off the field potentially if I want to keep them around for anything, because Regenerator is going to come into play and we're going to drop the Confusion.
Yeah, I will say one thing I really appreciate about Squirtle Squad is I think in every single double set that I've seen by them, it just always feels like they make the correct play every single turn. Like, I don't think that I've seen any of their battlers hit into like a protect. I think that they've, predicted so many switches really well. And, Orcboost has just kept that going here. We
Oh,
see Hydron pick up the KO on the Amoonguss.
I like this play. I
Ooh.
do like this play. Annihilate comes in, eats the Thunder Punch, is going to get boosted on its Rage Fist damage here. It is an Assault Vest Annihilate, so the Assault Vest not coming into play as much as you'd like, but Ludicolo is able to Hydro Pump into Amoonguss, removing it from play. It is now... Squirtle Squad is now down a Pokemon, and Dragonite is down its its multi-scale, and a mistake I make often. But we will see what this other Pokemon is. We've seen 4 Pokemon out of Uriquars from Jornada's side of the field, but we have only seen 2, and we will see a third here from Squirtle Squad soon.
Yeah, that was nicely done by Yuri. He preserves his Pelipper. I believe that his Basket Legion is also still alive. We see
Yes.
Jimmy Pop Bomb making a reincarnated version of it, initially brought by, I believe it was Green Pixel from Cobblemon Rivals, another team that Squirtle Squad did fight in the group stages, and it looks like they bestowed upon them the legendary Jimmy Pop Bomb.
I did not know the history. Now, this is a Gale Wings Covert Cloak Talonflame. It is threatening both of these Pokemon, the Grass type in Ludicolo and the Fighting type in Annihilate. While, of course, Dragonite is threatening any Water type that's going to come on the field, which, by the way, for anybody keeping track, is every Pokemon except for Annihilate on Jornada's side of the field. And the big problem here, as you noted, is the Pelipper not getting Tailwind up is putting this team in a lot of danger here, as Annihilate, unless built to be very speedy, is in trouble on this next turn, most likely. It's not a simple calculation anymore. Now, if these Pokemon... Of course, this Dragonite is locked into Thunder Punch. That is something important to note, but if a double up occurs, any of these Pokemon are going down, most likely. And we stand off here as this is a massive turn.
Yeah, this priority from Talonflame, extremely, extremely dangerous right now. It could honestly pick up a KO on either side.
Yes. And there's not too many Pokemon that can handle it. Of course, Basket Legion might be able to handle it better, but the Thunder Punch threat in any slot is almost going to KO everything except for Annihilate.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at this in terms of the speed, this Talonflame is almost certainly going first. Going for probably something like maybe Aerial Ace into Ludicolo, because Ludicolo would be the Pokemon moving second. If Talonflame hits into Annihilate, it means that Ludicolo is so free to hit into the... Oh, we see them go... We see... Oh, wow, the Tailwind to offset it. Final Gambit into Dragonite, doing tremendous damage.
But not enough to remove it. And 2 Pokemon go down for Uriquars here. Left with Pelipper and Basket Legion without Tailwind support. Facing off the Tailwinded Dragonite and Talonflame.
I'm not a big fan of that play, because that means that yes, we have Basket Legion in the rain, but the rain is gonna be ending. This is the very last turn for him to take advantage of it. Talonflame still has its Gale Wings intact, so it can launch off a huge Brave Bird, something like a huge Aerial Ace as well.
I don't see anything out of this side that's going to preserve them, unless maybe a mistake with Phantom Force Basket Legion here.
I wonder if you just go for Wave Crash into the Dragonite and try to set up a Tailwind this turn with your Pelipper. I'm not sure what the speed tiers are looking like right here, if Basket Legion could, because, this is Swift Swim Basket Legion against Tailwind Dragonite, so I think right now it is a funky position to be in.
It is. And any double up could be punished, as both Pelipper and, well, actually, sorry, Basket Legion potentially can't get out of the way in time, but it can Phantom Force if it can outspeed the Dragonite's Thunder Punch. either of these Pokemon could potentially get out of the way of that Thunder Punch. So there is still a chance here. There's some chess to be played on this match.
Yeah, Basculegion actually just barely underspeeds Dragonite naturally. So all of this, I feel like this entire turn is all going to come down straight to the EV investment. You know, which teams invested more speed into their it's all. I feel like this all comes down to the tie between D-Knight and Basculegion.
Indeed. We still have one Pokemon we haven't even seen out of Orkboo's side of the field, though. So this is a position where I wonder if you have to play against like a misplay where Pelipper almost needs to go for Tailwind, I feel like. Or needs to remove this Talonflame entirely. This is going to be a tough situation for Jornadas to get back from. We don't know what else they're going to be facing.
I think that if Orc has that Primarina in the back, I think that he's going to be able to very comfortably secure this game. Primarina, of course, resisting so many of these hits all around, being able to dish out big damage.
That is part of...
Oh, man.
That was what I was thinking as well. It was pointed out in chat that Basculegion is rocking Aqua Jet. I don't know if that's enough. I assume that it is enough to take down Dragonite in the rain with a Choice Band. So...
Oh, but would you lock yourself into Aqua Jet for the remainder of the match?
Right? I think that you almost need to go with a Phantom Force. That's the question, I suppose. Although if you outspeed Talonflame and you have priority, you could remove Gale Wings, I believe, before it goes.
No, because even in the Talonflame has a Tailwind setup,
you're right.
and it's already naturally a lot faster than Basculegion. Basculegion Swift Swim is basically being canceled out by the fact that Tailwind is already up on the opposing side of the field.
Yes. Yeah, this is a tight position right here. I don't know. I do feel like going for the water Aqua Jet is maybe helpful on this turn even, but after that, I almost think you need the Phantom Force immunity. You need a pin. This is going to be very interesting. And these battlers know it.
Oh man, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough for Yuri, I believe. I think Orkboo's is still in the better position currently.
Yes, for sure. They still have an unrevealed Pokemon, and this, like you said, since there's no one in the back, this Pelipper can't reset the rain. And while Ludicolo was rocking Rain Dance, it is not here to set it back up. We do see a Brave Bird come out into Pelipper. Aqua Jet goes into the Dragonite, removing it. And Recoil from the Brave Bird takes it down to 71%. Hydro Pump comes out from the Pelipper last, and both Pokemon do go down as Basculegion is left very comfortably alive. The Aqua Jet being enough to take out Dragonite and save from the Thunder Punch. And now we see Meowscarada, and I apologize, Amoonguss went down? Or is it just not on the field yet?
Oh, the Amoonguss went down to Hurricane.
Oh, you're right.
A lot earlier on.
Oh my goodness. This is actually very winnable now for Jornadas Cobblemon. They have come up with the right string of moves to get through that tough position. Dealing with priority like that can always be very hard, especially while the other team is tailwinded, and they did it masterfully.
This is still, I want to say that this is still an awkward position. If you're able to pick up, let's see, what item is this Meowscarada holding? Expert Belt? I don't think that Meowscarada picks up a KO with Flower Trick on Pelipper. Pelipper, of course, no longer has Rain supporting it. It's still a very tricky position. This Meowscarada is still the fastest Pokemon. It's going to outspeed Pelipper, which is the only Pokemon that currently does threaten that KO. You're locked into Aqua Jet as Basculegion. Oh man, this is a very rough position still.
Mm-hmm.
But Yurikor's played that really well last turn to, kind of make sure that both of these players are uncomfortable. I think this all is depending on if Pelipper is able to land a Hurricane right here.
This is a bit of a 50-50 as well, because Pelipper can protect, and if Orkboo's can predict that, they can go for the Flower Trick or the knockoff into Basculegion. But if they can't and they get it wrong, now they get Hurricaned. This is a very tough position. What a close match on this first game of the best of three. We see the Aqua Jet come out. The knockoff goes into Basque Legion and removes it from the field. But do we see we didn't see a protect. We see the Hurricane come out. They must have been predicting, but it misses. The rain has ended and the Hurricane misses. Oh my goodness. Now the question is, does Pelipper survive another turn?
Man, that miss is likely going to haunt Yuriquars. It's very likely going to be able to survive a knockoff, but it's not going to be able to. I don't think it's going to be able to pick up any KO here.
This is an expert belt Meowscarada though, so the flower trick into Pelipper, I guess that's not super effective because of the resist from flying. Ooh, yeah, you're right. This is interesting. This is an interesting moment.
Yeah, I think that Hurricane miss just kind of solidified this. Oh my god. To be fair, we did also see Hurricane confusion into self-hit earlier on in the game, so maybe this could be its way of evening out. That's rough, though. That's rough.
It is still only game 1 of this best of 3, and a lot has been learned, I'm certain, by both of these battlers. We see Flower Trick come out. It's not enough, and potentially not enough on another turn. Hydro Pump comes out and does connect with the Meowscarada. A 10% better chance here. And now, Pelipper actually can take another one. Maybe it is a damage roll, it looks like. People have talked bad about Pelipper plenty. And I've got to say, I think that it's one of the best Pokemon in Cobblemon currently, with its exceptional moveset. Of course, Hydro Pump maybe being the worst part of it, I would say. Knockoff goes in. It is not enough. The Rocky Helmet is knocked off, but it does do damage. And Hydro Pump misses. There is nothing left here.
Oh my god.
2 misses allows Meowscarada to live and now to put the finishing touches on this Pelipper. Wow.
Wow. Incredible. Oh, that hurt my heart to see. Hurricane miss and Hydro Pump miss. Oh my god. Down goes the Pelipper, and Orc Boost takes game 1.
That was a phenomenal first game between these two, and painful, of course, for Yuriquars, but hopefully they have seen a bit of what they're dealing with and can come up with a plan to take down that Dragonite. I think that's the one thing we kind of missed early on in this matchup, was that Thunder Punch can sit on the field and very much threaten this team unless threatened back by potentially the Scarf Flygon. There are options open to Yuriquars, but they have to find them.
Yeah, oh my goodness. That was... oof. Oh man, that was so brutal to see.
You hate to see that. I do agree that misses on games it can be very painful, but it is a part. And like you said, there was that Hurricane confusion and self-hit from the Amoonguss early on in the game, and now we got to see whether or not Yuriquars and Jornadas can handle that bad RNG and come back from it. If they can't, this will be... they need to win every game from here out, unless there is, of course, a third set of VGC, in which case they get one more buffer. But this is... it is as down to the wire as it's ever been. If they lose this match, they are going home. Both of these battlers are in team preview now, preparing to face off in the second battle of the best of 3. Now, if you're Orkboos, there is a lot that we didn't see out of them. We only saw, we didn't see the Primarina and we didn't see the Hitmon on top. And both of us agreed that Primarina is very impactful in this battle, I would say. But now we will have to see how these battlers adjust to each other. The Choice Banded Dragonite proved very difficult to deal with. But, honestly, I don't see very many Gale Wings Talonflame show up later in the battle as well. So... some very interesting strategies and a lot more to work with.
Yeah, oh man, I wonder what's going through Yuri's head right now, knowing that, first the frustration of dealing with the RNG, and second, knowing that he has to win this match. There's nothing else besides winning. for him to make sure that Jornadas does not get eliminated from this tournament. We see both teams start off,
Oh, I
and
have.
we see the same lead on Orkboos's side facing down against a Ludicolo Annihilate lead on Yuri Quarz's side.
I think I like this lead because okay, let's think about what happened last game. Final Gambit was used by Annihilate at 60% health and almost removed Dragonite. I could absolutely see another Final Gambit coming out to just remove Dragonite. So if I'm Orkbooz, I got to be very much paying attention to that. And of course, there is fake out pressure as well.
You also can't forget that the Amoonguss could also go for something like the Rage Powder to soak up the Final Gambit instead, if that's a route that they could take. So,
That's true.
you know,
There's a fake out there. This is that can also be stopped with the fake out, but we'll see how these players want to play it. If the Thunder Punch does go into Ludicolo or into either of these slots, it does threaten KOs with whatever's in the back or whatever's here. This is as there are a great many options for these players, and they, I'm sure, are running through them all. The strength, I think, of Orkboo's lead, though, here is we do see the fake out into Amoonguss. We see the Final Gambit into Dragonite. Both Pokemon going down. And now the main threat of damage, other than perhaps Flower Trick Meowscarada, has been removed. And Orkboo's has to either bring out Talonflame to balance against these swift-swimming Pokemon. There it is. There's the Talonflame to try and set up a Tailwind on this next turn, potentially, to bring back speed balance. Oh. A very
you
nice
just go
first
for
turn.
a Brave Bird right now into the Ludicolo.
Maybe. You might. The Ludicolo, let's look at its moveset, is walking Fake Out, Giga Drain, Hydro Pump, and Rain Dance. We don't know what the last Pokemon is on Yurikor's side of the field, but it seems like a commitment into this Rain Core and using Annihilate to remove the biggest threat to the Rain Core. And so now, I don't know if you can preserve your Pokemon here and you can get either a Tailwind up or remove Amoonguss or whichever you can do. This becomes really, really big. But if you don't get Tailwind up and your Jimmy Pop Bomb, you are in trouble, I think. Brave Bird does come out and removes Ludicolo. Depending on what we get here, the Hurricane hits 29% Amoonguss back to the same spot. A Confusion does go into Amoonguss, but it has already used Rage Powder this term, and Basculegion comes out. And Basculegion, there is no more Gale Wings. It does have access to that Aqua Jet. I'm not certain that that's the trade you want if you're Orkbooz. I do understand why you go for it, but without Tailwind, whatever your last Pokemon is, it may not be enough.
I think that this Amoonguss is extremely free to go for a Rage Powder just so Talonflame. I think that Talonflame could probably guarantees a Tailwind here if the Amoonguss does go for Rage Powder. Because
true.
the Basculegion would hit into Amoonguss. Talonflame naturally outspeeds Pelipper, could be able to set off a Tailwind and puts both in a nicer position for the next. Or maybe you read that as the Pelipper and set up your own Tailwind as well.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Possibilities.
That's yeah. The lack of Tailwind here. Whoever plays this speed set correctly, I do think there's a lot of power here. Of course, as you say, if the Amoonguss wants a Rage Powder, it's gonna get it. And Pelipper being the main threat, this Basculegion can lock into Wave Crash, but that's not going. I don't know if that'll even be enough to remove this Amoonguss. I'm not honestly certain. I assume just barely, maybe, but we see the Confusion. It does work through. It gets the Rage Powder off. The Wave Crash does come out into Amoonguss and does get it. Okay, we are going to see Talonflame go next. Talonflame goes for the Brave Bird into Basculegion to 13% in a very important live, and Tailwind comes out from Pelipper, allowing Pelipper to potentially outspeed whatever else comes in. It is a Primarina.
Primarina. I think you double into the Primarina here. I think that, oh man, Primarina. What did we see Wave Crash? This is rain boosted Wave Crash as well.
Oh.
Basculegion, the fastest thing on the field, having both its Swift Swim and Tailwind activated. I think Talonflame isn't really. Oh man, I really do think that you just double into the Primarina because your Pelipper should be able to handle the Talonflame afterwards. I guess you do go right back down to juggling the hurricane and hydro pump landings or
Oh,
not.
yep, that's true. And this is an assault vest pre-marina, so you kind of have to wave crash into it, as your Pelipper isn't going to be able to do as much later on. The recoil comes out, which is actually important, as it will redirect any other moves into Pelipper. Bravebird comes out, Hurricane comes out into pre-marina. It is not enough. We need almost a full confusion. Hyper Voice comes out. Both these Pokemon are low, but Pelipper is going to be slower than Talonflame still. I think this is over.
No, Pelipper should be quicker because of the tailwind that they set up earlier.
We just saw that Talonflame outsped, even with the with it.
You're right.
And look at that, Bravebird comes out. Uriquar's Pelipper is down, and that is a GG. Jornadas Cobblemon has gone down 2-0 as Squirtle Squad will move on into the top 4.
Oh man, the first team to lock in their spot in the semifinals of the Cobblemon World Cup 2025. Very, very nicely done. You know, taking early control with a singles win and then being able to close it out with a nice 2-0 sweep. Squirtle Squad, I'm sure, very happy that they just pretty much left with a flawless victory against an extremely tough opponent. Wow. Very well played. Jornadas, I'm surprised that they weren't able to get a win off. A very strong team throughout the whole tournament. They won every single encounter they had with other servers leading up to this point, you know, being one of the very few servers to get all of their 3 group stage wins. But finally eliminated. That's the first Brazilian team in the tournament to be knocked out of the World Cup as well, leaving only Planeta on the other side.
Well, there was some incredible plays
goodness.
there, and obviously some back and forth with different RNG plays, but honestly, wonderfully executed from both sides, and you can see where they were thinking, you can see where they were going, and it looked like Orkbooz had a little bit of an advantage, as you even mentioned in team preview, saying this is the more meta team, of course, and that leaves the pressure onto Uriquars to be able to navigate that team somehow better and stronger than even what the meta provides, and it just seemed a bit insurmountable there. I do think that the adaptation from Orkbooz to bring Primarina in the back was an important one, as it did stop that Pelipper from having any advantage in that matchup.
Yeah, let's see if any of the battlers are interested in joining for an interview. We do have our next match of Aureus MC versus Cobbledex facing off in about 30 minutes.
We will be ending this stream after the interviews and starting a new stream for anybody in chat. And this is mostly so that you guys can go back and watch these. I think that this will be a nice way for the community to be able to keep track of these battles in the future. Hopefully that is how it works out. But for those of you here today, be aware, I will post a link to the new stream as we are ready to move on to it. Do we have any interviewees?
I'm looking. Doesn't seem that anybody has joined yet, but we can give it time.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Now, of course, there were some really pivotal moments there with the different just misses and such. But I do think that one of the things that surprised me was the fully comfortable use of Annihilate as a final Gambit user, especially in that first game with 60% health. I do still wonder about that play, as there were different ways of protecting those Rain Core from big attacks, and while that was one of them, oh man, it makes me wonder about this Choice Scarf Flygon and whether or not it would have had a place in this match.
Yeah, I think it was rough, just, you know, knowing that its damage output wasn't looking like the best in the meta. And Uriquars, he had a good team. You know, it all did end up going down to just some misses. So, you know, keeping that same 4 wasn't a bad idea, because you know that they can all do well. You know, you just need the coins to kind of flip a little bit more in your favor.
Indeed. Yep. That is tough when you lose on a miss as well. It does disincentivize you from being like, okay, I really need to shift this up. And sometimes that can be either a trap or a boon, obviously. I don't see any interviewees waiting, so it looks to me as if we may not be having that.
Right.
But
Yep,
hopefully, we'll get to now. SquirtleSquadMC, where are they out of? Are they an English-speaking team or?
I want to say America. You know, we can ask really quick in chat. SquirtleSquadMC.
But we do have, as you said, the Brazilian team going down. We have one other Brazilian team still in the tournament.
Yeah, they do seem to be an American team mostly.
Gotcha.
I know that they also have some Latinos in there as well, but it looks like the majority is American indeed. Yeah, looking at the bracket. Oh, something that's actually pretty exciting about SquirtleSquadMC right now as well is that their next opponent is either EV Empire or Roanoke Network. You know, the winner of that match is the one that's going to face SquirtleSquad in the semifinals. If EV Empire end up winning, that would mean that we would see a clash between two sister servers, both SquirtleSquad and EV Empire, very, very close. So I wonder, you know, how interesting of a semifinal that would be to see. But that is looking very, very possible here.
And I've seen both of those teams go on. That would be an exciting match all by itself. Would that be the finals or the semifinals they'd meet in? You said semifinals, I believe, right?
Yes, semifinals.
Yes, okay. Very nice. Oh, well, we love seeing these different teams. I think that singles match that we saw out of Jornadas and SquirtleSquad as well was an incredible matchup. And came down to maybe that Goldango prediction of keeping in and make it raining into the Mammoth Swine as it swapped in.
Yeah, that was insane. Just really, really well played by them overall.
Indeed. And now, well, in lieu of having any other interviews here, I think what we'll do is we'll play the trailer, and then we will swap over to the other stream and we'll start having that begin its process. So I'm gonna turn the trailer on for you guys, and we'll see you in about 20 minutes for Aureus MC versus Cobbledex.